Tears poses. Eric Williams. Well, Japan it bloody well is. A lot of people are theorizing that the next God of War saga will take us to China or Japan due to the poses Tyr makes throughout the endgame of God of War Ragnarok. And while I have voiced my opinion on whether I think he's saying that to keep us fans stimulated, wrong word there, energized about the direction of the franchise, let's entertain the possibility of Kratos and crew going eastward. Now, in a previous video I made going over a general overview of the fundamentals of Japanese mythology, I thought now's as good a time as ever to revisit ancient Japan and see what kinds of mischief, or peaceful meditation, that we could see Kratos in should the Land of the Rising Sun present itself as the next host to the God of War series. Don't worry, fans of Sun Wukong or fans of Chinese mythology, that will be saved for a future video in my new playlist, God of War, Where It Will Go Next, of which you can view in the description or at the end of the video. In case you want a refresher of the fundamentals of Japanese mythology and how the lands came to be, view this video here on your screen and then immediately come back to this one. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Ancient Japan has a lot going for it that would be a great setting to see the Ghost of Sparta venture off to. Ancient Japanese myth contains within it many important qualities that sit well with Kratos, chief among them being honor, discipline, and loyalty, while also providing many areas that will further help Kratos grow and evolve as a character. With many gods, or kami as they are referred to in Japanese, that are rich with wisdom, with an impeccable ability to control and focus one's mind, these lands could provide Kratos just what he needs to help cope with the inevitable pains he continues to deal with. Briefly touching up on the ending of God of War Ragnarok for a brief moment, Atreus embarks on a journey to find the remaining giants scattered about the world, leading him away from the Norse realms. Now you may be thinking, so what? But hear me out. This is Kratos we're talking about. The lengths he would go to ensure his son was well and safe is exactly why this would cause Kratos anxiety. On top of that, he clearly has matured a lot since his past in ancient Greece, but that doesn't mean he still doesn't have some amount of trauma from those events. As he rebuilds the 8 Norse realms, I'm sure the allure of other worlds and what he could learn from them would entice Kratos to leave Midgard and the like, if just for a moment. I have dropped theory after theory of which you can view this playlist, but Kratos would certainly benefit from more introspection and travel, don't you think? Especially to a land rich with qualities that could very much benefit Kratos, right? Kratos enters Japan as he always does anywhere else, with his boat. I'm on a boat! I'm on a boat! Okay, I didn't mean to get carried away there. He first arrives in Japan, where massive volcanoes sprout from the land, the moment where the pieces of Kagotsuchi, the fire kami, land. Imagine seeing Mount Fuji for the first time, erupting and spewing out volcanic debris with the sky covered in thick ashen clouds. Quite a fiery entrance to a new saga, am I right? As soon as Kratos docks his boat to see what is going on, light comes to the world. This is the moment after Izanagi, the god of creation, gives birth to Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun, Tsukuyomi, the moon god, and Susano, also known as Loki. I mean the trickster god, who was known for his storms and temper. It is at this time that there is already light in the world, represented as Amaterasu's sun. However, it exists alongside the night with the brilliant moon of Tsukuyomi shining as if the sky were in a perpetual state of balance. Imagine playing with both the bright rays of daylight beating down on Kratos, with the brilliant moonlight radiating and illuminating the landscapes around you. God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok introduced a more fantastical element to the God of War series with the Norse Saga, but oh boy could they take that even further with Japanese mythology. Kratos would then perhaps find himself meeting Izanagi, still lamenting the loss of his beloved lover, Izanami and Yomi, the land of the dead. Izanami had perished upon giving birth to the fire kami Kagutsuchi, and those who perished ventured to Yomi, the realm of the dead. This land is where people go when they pass away, as did Izanami, and when eating the fruit in Yomi, the bodies begin to decompose, revealing a very eerie and unsettling realm to any mortal unfortunate enough to enter. Perhaps Santa Monica Studio could alter the mythology here just a little bit, as they often do, and have Izanagi task Kratos to enter Yomi to try to quell the misery of the land of the dead. Removing the boulder Izanagi placed to prevent the decomposing realm of Yomi from flooding into the land of the living, Kratos enters and seals off the cave's entrance, introducing players to Japanese mythology's underworld. As the underworlds of ancient Greece and Norse myth have been explored quite effectively in the God of War series, it would only make sense to introduce the many concepts of the afterlife to players in a new setting. Yomi has an incredible amount of possibilities for epic boss encounters, including the corrupted yokai spirits of Oni along with the big boss herself, Izanami, all decayed and horrifying. Now, I can't see Kratos actually killing Izanami, but perhaps an altercation could take place during his time in Yomi. Upon leaving Yomi, Kratos leaves the underworld and sees broad daylight due to the separation of Amaterasu and Tsukuyomi. Watch the previous video I did relaying the fundamentals of Japanese mythology that goes into what happened to the pair, as their separation is quite fascinating. Omoikane, the kami of wisdom, could be introduced to Kratos, as this god was instrumental in persuading Amaterasu to get out of the cave she locked herself in after Susano betrayed her. Talking to and learning some of the wisdom imparted by a figure like Omoikane could serve to be invaluable to Kratos. As stated earlier, Kratos has certainly experienced a great deal of trauma throughout both ancient Greek mythology and Norse mythology. Couple that with Kratos' inevitable worry for his son Atreus, and Omoikane could certainly be just the god Kratos needs to help him with his thoughts and anxieties. Now, the story could go in numerous directions from here, but this is a rough idea of what we could expect should the game bring us to the shores of Japan. Now, as for Atreus, or Loki, well, his ties to Susano are pretty remarkable. Loki does something crazy in Norse myth, and Susano over in ancient Japan is like, oh yeah, hold my beer. These two have done some pretty questionable stuff, and although they each have their own moments of excellence and heroism, I think Atreus working his way into the Susano character in Japanese mythology could be so cool to see. It would be as if the gods and characters around Atreus would just refer to Atreus as Susano in ancient Japan, without Susano already being an established god in Santa Monica Studios' interpretation, similar to how Atreus became Loki in the Norse setting. We know that Atreus has certainly grown in God of War 2018 and in God of War Ragnarok, but he is still capable of doing some conspicuous things, as described in his very namesake. Imagine Atreus assumes the name Susano in ancient Japan, with Atreus getting into all sorts of mischief with causing storms due to his tantrums, further expanding Atreus' moveset. After realizing all the destruction he's caused from a fit of rage, Atreus battles Yamata no Orochi, the massive 8-headed dragon, in an epic boss fight. A battle with Orochi could be just one of the many incredible new encounters that could happen should the God of War franchise find its way to ancient Japan. For both Kratos and Atreus, should they find themselves in the land of the rising sun, there would be ample room for both characters to experience setbacks and drama, yet provide them even more opportunities for growth. And as this growth-centered, more mature storytelling approach is certainly looking like the way the franchise is going after the Norse setting, Japanese mythology stands as an incredibly viable and likely setting for God of War's third saga. In addition to that, we can't not bring up the fact that Santa Monica Studio is indeed a studio under Sony. Sony is one of the largest electronic companies in the world, headquartered in Minato, Japan, its own area of the Tokyo metropolis. Santa Monica Studio has proven itself ever since the very first God of War game back in 2005 that it is one of Sony's most successful studios under PlayStation. With the incredible talent of Santa Monica Studio, a fantastical, honorable tribute to Japanese mythology could be seen very favorably from Sony, and could be an exciting first foray for the studio to leave behind the Western mythologies for now, and instead tackle a mythology in the East. Now, what about all you good people? What do you think about the possibility for the God of War franchise to move to ancient Japan? What other kami and yokai do you think the mighty Ghost of Sparta and crew could run into while in ancient Japan? Sound off below, and as always, like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you loved it. Check out this playlist here for a good idea of where the franchise could take the God of War series moving forward, and I look forward to seeing you in my Celtic mythology video coming up real shortly. Take care, and Happy New Year, good people!